So I think that this is a dynamic. I think this is a law that is applicable on every level. It's applicable on the physical level and the metaphysical level. Um, it's basically order, chaos come together. They have sex. Then there's a baby that's resulting from order, chaos. We are conscious agents, conscious beings with consciousness. Unlike the lower animal kingdom, we can set our consciousness, and that has the ability to interact with sporadic, fickle, erratic, spontaneous nature. Um, and nature gestates. There's the gestating process that shapes the outcome, that ultimately creates the baby, that creates the um, what is subsequently birthed from this interaction, from your will penetrating nature. But nature is going to interact with your will, and your will is going to interact with nature. So it's really this. Uh, it's the it's like I said, like when you're. This is kind of a really crappy example, but it's the only one I can think of right now. Just you're paddling in a canoe through the water, and the patterns that emerge subsequently in the water um, are, you could say, are they from you? The patterns that your oars create as you're rowing in the water, are they from you or are they from nature? Well, they're from you and nature having a relationship together. It's the two clashing together. It's, the water made the patterns, but also you made them. And the patterns wouldn't be the same if it weren't for you using the oars at that particular moment in time in the exact precise way you did. So everything's like that. Everything is the result of you interacting with nature, and um, ultimately your conscious intent is going to shape the outcome just as much as your conscious intent is going to shape your outcome and the world's outcome, just as much as your outcome and the world's outcome is going to be shaped by nature in a way that's completely out of your hands. So you're just as kind of powerless and don't have a say in what happens just as much as you do have agency over what happens. Like, you have influence, but just like in any relationship, um, you have to work with the person that you're in a relationship with, and you're going to have an influence, but then that person's also going to have an influence on you. Well, this is the way Mother Nature is, and you have to honor her, so to speak. And it's a compromise, and whatever subsequent birth is birthed from the intercourse of the will penetrating the chaos, of the conscious penetrating the unconscious, of the phallus penetrating the womb. Whatever is birthed from that is going to be the fruit of whatever dynamics were present at the moment of the interaction. So if the masculine is not balanced with the feminine, if they aren't harmonious with one another, if it's an unhealthy relationship, then it's going to be an unhealthy birth. And so we need to. It's really the most meaningful and humbling position we can have, because we need to realize that we have a responsibility, like we have a role in nature, we have agency over it. But if we get too enwrapped in that role and try to dominate nature, then you know the result, the outcome that is birthed from that shitty relationship, because of our domineering, being enwrapped in our own domineering side of things, then that will be, then we're just dominating nature and we're not honoring the relationship. And on the other hand, if we are too submissive to nature and just letting our biological drives, um, drive us, which is just letting nature dominate you as opposed to you dominating nature, in the previous example, as opposed to dominating nature, if you let nature dominate you and you just have no motivation for anything, set no structure, no direction of any kind forward, and in that case, that's also another extreme. And so then whatever's birthed from that also is going to be that's going to be an unhealthy interaction, which leads to an unhealthy outcome. So you need to honor mindfully this interaction, this intercourse, because life is a constant sexual encounter of this kind, and so everything is constant birthing. We are constantly creating outcomes in this way, and we need to realize within ourselves. We need to realize, within ourselves and within the world, our role and also our vulnerability. And so those things have to be balanced the best they can. And it takes a keen intuition and the ability to pay attention to what's happening to do that. Because, like I said, on the one hand, if you're just dominating nature, then you aren't really acknowledging it. Society is a great example of this. It's kind of like a mass hallucination, because we're creating in this man-made world without paying attention to the actual world, which the actual world is both nature and the man-made world, and it's the outcome from that. But we're not living in that outcome. We're not really paying attention to that. What we're living in is our own cultural, sociological construction, the man-made world, without really paying attention to nature, without paying attention to the fruit of the outcome. So, yeah.